2012, a young couple camps in Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
We were about to head off to sleep when 2 lights flickered on inside of our tent. I was completely and utterly terrified out of my mind.
This is National Park Secrets and Legends. Great Smoky Mountains National Park is 800 square miles of dense wilderness that straddles the border of North Carolina and Tennessee. The park's majestic mountains are amongst the oldest in the world and are believed to have once been the highest peaks on Earth. This area has endured some of the most violent geological changes in the Earth's history. And it's claimed that forces deep inside the park are the source of many unexplained events. Summer 2012. Deep in a remote area of the park, a young couple have set up camp.
It was pretty late. It was about 1 in the morning by the time everything had gotten finished. So we were laying in the tent, and it was completely pitch black. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
As Brittany and her friend drift into sleep, they are suddenly awoken by strange lights inside their tent.
They were very, very bright. It looked like 2 little marbles frozen in place at our feet. And the color inside these 2 lights, it ebbed and flowed the way that an ember burns in a fire.
The mysterious lights quietly hold in position in the air, as if they were keeping a watchful eye on the couple.
The terror I felt when I looked at these was from not knowing what it was. And I shut my eyes because I was immediately terrified. I assumed that someone must have followed us, and I didn't know what was going to happen at that point. I was just really, really scared.
Armed with a knife, Brittany's friend pursues the lights, but they are gone.
What was that?
We had wanted to abandon the campsite and go back to the car, but we were terrified that if there was somebody out there, that we were going to get followed.
They decide their safest option is to stay put and hope that the mysterious lights will not return.
We convinced each other there were some kind of new mutated fireflies and that they had somehow got into our tent. And that's the only way that I could fall asleep that night.
Brittany's night of terror is not yet over.
I had dreamed that we were in Indian territory and that I was part of an Indian tribe and they were playing drums. And the music got louder until at the very end, they hit the drum really, really hard.
The final beat of the drum abruptly awakens her.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
And he said, "Did you hear that?" And I said, "Yeah, that drum." And he said, "I don't know what it was, but it woke me up." And during this time, neither one of us spoke a single word or moved a muscle. We were frozen in place.
What could explain Brittany's experience with the mysterious lights and her strange dream? Some believe there could be a connection between these 2 events.
I believe that the Great Smoky Mountains is a spiritual place. It's like a gathering of souls.
Author Michael Rivers has been investigating paranormal activity in Great Smoky Mountains National Park for many years. He believes the mysterious lights are spirit orbs related to the ancient Cherokee.
An orb is considered energy. The Cherokee elders, they all believe that orbs are spirits that are there to protect the Great Smoky Mountains.
Stories of mystical orbs have been passed down by Cherokee for centuries.
I have had experiences of seeing orbs and things of that nature, and I believe they create magnetic energy changes, and we're able to see things that necessarily would not see all the time. This is a place of great energy.
Mysterious occurrences aren't only happening in the lush forests of Great Smoky Mountains National Park. There are reports of equally inexplicable events in the skies above. January 31st, 1944. a small military plane leaves Charlotte, North Carolina, en route to Nashville, Tennessee. The small UC-78 aircraft carries 4 passengers, 3 officers and a civilian.
They were flying in a day when there were low clouds. The clouds would have obscured the top of the mountains.
The flight plan calls for the aircraft to fly directly over the Smoky Mountains, where the highest peak is over 6,000 feet high. With no GPS to guide them over the mountain range, the pilots rely on analog instruments and their line of sight.
They are going to be very careful as they approach the mountain range to make sure they approach it at the right angle and the right altitude at the right speed. They are going to be on edge.
They continue on their flight path. But then, all of a sudden, the pilots struggle to maintain control of their aircraft.
The airplane was a twin-engine aircraft. It would have been loud. You would have heard the engines revving and slowing down, revving and slowing down.
And one of the engines was sputtering. And it still didn't know that it's got 5,000 more feet to climb. And it was obvious in distress.
The plane struggles to gain altitude. But then something goes terribly wrong.
Everybody brave, we're going down! Mayday!
The plane and all on board are never seen again. It's as if they vanished into thin air.
The investigators came into the area with helicopters, search and rescue teams from the Army Air Force, from the National Park Service, National Forest Service, and I've been in search and rescue for 38 years. It is very uncommon that we are not able to locate a missing aircraft. In this particular instance, it would be considered a mystery.
What could explain the plane's sudden disappearance? Since 1920, over 54 planes have crashed in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Some believe a mysterious electromagnetic force could be responsible.
You'll find a lot of plane crashes because when they get near these magnetic power grids, their instruments stop working.
Is the Great Smoky Mountains National Park a landlocked version of the Bermuda Triangle, where airplanes seem to vanish for no apparent reason?
For many people, they would indicate that it sounds like it's a spider web, just catching aircraft unbeknownst, and that might be true.
What is this invisible power in Great Smoky Mountains National Park? And could it be linked to reports of another force so menacing it can harm anyone who gets too close?
She began to feel nauseated. She began to feel fatigue, and she began to feel like her mind wasn't working quite right.
Great Smoky Mountains National Park has been revered for centuries by the Cherokee Indians. Many believe that mysterious orbs guard the park from nefarious forces. Some claim this unseen presence may explain a series of mysterious air crashes that have occurred here.
Everybody brave, we're going down!
Others have described the existence of another force, a force that can harm visitors who venture too deep inside the park. April 2013. Local resident Jane Spottedbird drives into Great Smoky Mountains National Park. She's heading to one of her favorite hiking trails.
It's a very simple road, off the beaten track, so to speak. When she got up close, the road was blocked. There was actually a gate. At that point, she decided she would just get out and walk the rest of the way.
As Jane walks up the trail, she sees nothing to explain the road closure. No downed tree or sign of a flash flood. As Jane moves deeper into the woods, she notices disturbing changes in the forest.
Suddenly, there were no animals, there were no birds singing, it was just very silent. And then she ran into these other experiences that she didn't expect.
All of a sudden, uncomfortable sensations sweep through her body.
She began to feel nauseated. She began to feel fatigue. And she began to feel like her mind wasn't working quite right, like it was a little bit unsettled.
Jane hears strange noises directly below her. It's a bizarre mechanical sound that seems to come from deep beneath the Earth's surface.
She kept hearing pylons, like bridge pylons, being pounded in the ground. And there's nothing of an industrial nature anywhere near that location.
Jane gathers enough strength to get out of the area and never returns. What could possibly be making people sick in Great Smoky Mountains National Park?
You get close to these places sometimes, and it's like your brain feels like it's being messed with. There must be some kind of electromagnetic pulsing that kind of repels both people and animals.
Our bodies are a series of electrical and magnetic pulses. So if you get around a real powerful magnetic pulse, it's going to freak your body out.
Are electromagnetic waves being used to scare away unwanted visitors from the park? If so, who or what could be responsible? A shocking disappearance 50 years ago may reveal the park's deepest secret.
Dennis!
It was thousands of people. It was dogs. It was the military. It was police organizations.
Why is it being hidden? Why are they going to such extent to hide things?
Great Smoky Mountains National Park is a sprawling forest of old-growth woodlands that have barely changed in centuries. Some believe a malevolent force trying to harness the park's energy may explain reports of hikers feeling nauseous and unusual booming sounds in the area. Who is trying to control the park's mysterious energy? A shocking disappearance almost 50 years ago may help solve the mystery. June 14, 1969. 6-year-old Dennis Martin is on a family gathering in the park.
There was nothing unusual about the day, and it had been a place that they had been up to before. This wasn't their first time to go up there and hike.
Dennis is playing with his cousins when they decide to play a joke on the adults.
Hey, they're coming. Hey guys, let's go hide.
So they divided up into two groups. Dennis went one way, 3 of his cousins go another way, and as the adults come walking down, they're going to jump out to scare them.
Moments later, the adults call the boys back.
Come on, boys, let's go.
But only Dennis's cousins returned.
After a few minutes, they started yelling, "Dennis, where are you at?" Dennis come out.
Stay at the table. Dennis! Dennis! Where you at, Dennis?
It was just 1 minute, he's getting ready to jump out with his cousins, and the next minute he's gone.
Dennis! Dennis!
Fearing for the boy's life, the adults notify the park rangers.
I've seen some parts of the national park, I don't want to be lost in there. Heavens no. Where there's lots of snakes. You've got ravines and waterfalls.
Within hours, the search becomes one of the most extensive in the history of the National Park Service.
It was thousands of people. It was dogs. It was the military. It was police organizations and rescue organizations from all surrounding states.
Despite a massive and lengthy search, Dennis Martin is never found. To this day, his disappearance is a mystery.
The most startling thing all these years later is the fact that he could disappear totally, completely without any trace whatsoever.
Some believe that another unusual aspect of the case was the intense and rapid deployment of military personnel.
The military wasn't called. The military volunteered to come do this. You even had Green Beret units. They were preparing to go fight in the Vietnam War. They did not know how to track a small boy who was missing in the mountains.
This is not the only report of unusual military operations in the area. There are also other accounts of mysterious activity deep within the park.
There's some pretty bizarre things that are going on. People have run into park rangers who turn them away, and sometimes they are even armed with machine guns.
For 7 years, researcher Mary Joyce has been documenting secret military activity here.
Military equipment is literally being hauled in by tractor-trailer trucks. Witnesses have seen large Osprey helicopters dropping equipment down, sometimes with parachutes.
It's also claimed that this military activity has resulted in vast areas of the park being closed to the public.
You see a lot of vans going in and out with government plates, blacked out windows. You can't see who's driving. If you get too close to something for some reason, somebody's going to come out and question you with an AK-47.
What could possibly explain all this suspicious military activity in Great Smoky Mountains National Park? Shockingly, Mary Joyce believes it reveals the park's deepest secret: the existence of a hidden military base.
Most people do not know what's going on beneath the park. And beneath the park, there are underground military facilities.
It's believed this secret military base could explain hikers collapsing and falling sick while in the area.
What we've learned from the research we've done is that there's some kind of energy that's sent out that might very well be the military, keeping people away from places without having to be blatant about it.
Why would the military build a secret base at Great Smoky Mountains National Park? Some believe the answer lies outside the government, deep within the most powerful secret society the world has ever known.
There is a powerful group of people who seem to have control of major events in the world.
At Great Smoky Mountains National Park, it's claimed that a secret underground military base could be emitting electromagnetic pulses, which are repelling people and animals in the area. If true, what could explain the military's presence here? Some say the answer may be linked to an unusual monument built with stones from some of the most well-known locations on the planet.
I think there's 687 different stones in this monument from every continent in the world. There's stones from the Edinburgh Castle. There are stones from Solomon's Temple, from the White House, from Plymouth Rock.
Erected in 1938, the monument was built by one of the most powerful secret societies on Earth, the Freemasons.
Many people think that the Masons have a whole lot of power beyond what is normally conveyed. The Masons are a powerful group of people who seem to have control of major events in the world.
In 1928, billionaire John D. Rockefeller, who some believe was also a Freemason, helped establish Great Smoky Mountains National Park with a $5 million donation. Freemasons have long been linked to the U.S. government, with several presidents and hundreds of senior officials, members of this mysterious fraternity.
The Masons are the controlling force behind things in our government. The founders of this country, many of them were Masons. So that is part of our government that's always been there.
Some believe the Freemasons are building a secret military base under Great Smoky Mountains National Park as part of their mission to rule the world under a totalitarian government called the New World Order.
They've got these military bases here under the Smoky Mountains. They are building facilities all over the world.
Why choose Great Smoky Mountains National Park? It's believed that for thousands of years, the Freemasons have been drawn to powerful places using an ancient science called geomancy.
To me, geomancy is reading the Earth's energy. Vortexes, ley lines, power spots. That's what geomancy really is all about. There are vortexes all over the Smoky Mountains. There's ley lines. Think of the Great Smoky Mountain as a huge grid of energy.
It's believed this grid connects the park with other mystical places on the planet, making it a critical location in the Freemasons' quest for a new world order.
I think that this is one of the better places to build bases in the nation. I mean, this is prime candidate. You've got trees all over the place. You've got nice mountain ranges. You've got natural caverns. And you've got a high visitation of energy here.
The mysterious powers of the majestic Great Smoky Mountains National Park have been revered by the indigenous population for centuries. Although now it's claimed the park is being used by others for sinister purposes, one thing will never change. Great Smoky Mountains National Park is a place that will always demand respect.
The Smokies are magnificent. They are more powerful than any other mountain range in North America.
There's so much energy in the area that it comes through your whole soul.
We value the Great Smoky Mountains as being something very precious. Nobody's going to take it.